Hello there. Today let's look at how to sew this mesh corset gown with skirt draping. If this is something you'd love to do stick and stay and let's do it together. We draw this line to serve as our starting line. We divide our shoulder to shoulder measurement into two and mark. Then we add 1/4 inch seam allowance to it. Then our shoulder slope is 1.5. Our neck width is 3 inches. We join these 2 points together. Then we mark our shoulder to nipple, shoulder to under bust, and then our shoulder to waist. We square all these off. Right. Then we mark 1 inch away from the shoulder to nipple point. Then our nipple to nipple measurement is also marked. We mark the same nipple to nipple divided by 2 on the waistline. Then we connect these two. On the shoulder length, we divide it into 2 to locate the midpoint. Then we join it to the 1 inch we had marked earlier. Shoulder, that is 2 3/4, so 1 3/8 on this side, 1 3/8 on the other side. Then we connect them to where the shoulder dart is supposed to end. After that, we fold this very dart onto the next. Quite easy. Now we refine our shoulder slope. Then we mark our shoulder to shoulder divided by 2, and then we add our 1/4 inch seam allowance as we did earlier. We mark our round arm divided by 2, which gives us our arm depth. We square this off on this same line. We divide our bust measurement into 4, add our 2 inch seam allowance to it. We divide our arm depth into 3, we have 2 3/8. We square that off as well. This is our cross chest line. On the cross chest line, we divide it into 2. This dart is taking some inches from it, we add it, then we add our seam allowance. With these 3 points, we connect and mark our armhole. This is our waist measurement minus 2 divided by 4. Then our dart of 2 inches is added, seam allowance 2 inches is added. We connect these to the bust line. We're taking 1 inch from each side of our nipple to nipple line, and then we connect it from the waist to the under bust, then to the apex. We are refining these shoulder lines. To have our neck line, we come down by 4 inches. That will be the neck depth. With a curve, we connect our neck width to our neck depth, and we have our neckline. That is our front neckline actually. So the front is done. When it gets to the back, we are extending our bust line, or our chest line as some would call it, to the back. Then the waistline is also traced to the back. I think my line is not very straight, so I need to straighten it up. Right. Now we mark our arm depth, and then we square this off. Then our shoulder slope of 1.5 is also added. We square that off as well. We mark our neck width of 3 inches on the top. Then our shoulder to shoulder divided by 2 on the second line. We connect. The arm depth is just like that of the front. We divide it into 3. We have 2 3/8. That is just as we had for the front. We mark it, then we square that, and this becomes our across back line. We divide our across back into 2 with our seam allowance. This is the bust divided by 4 plus a 2 inch seam allowance. We also, with the help of this curve, would mark our back armhole. The waist divided by 4, that is after we've taken our 2 inches from it. Then we add a 1.5 inch dart, 2 inches seam allowance to it. Then we connect. The nipple to nipple as we had for the front was 3.5. When it gets to the back, it's 3 3/4. We mark it on both the top and the waistline. Then we connect. We are doing 3/4 of an inch on both sides, and we're also connecting it to the top. As you see, our back depth, that is 1 inch, that is a back neck depth is 1 inch. So we'll mark our back neck hole as we are doing right now. Now our pattern is done. We are doing the modification. So we mark 4 inches from the shoulder to nipple line. Then we are widening this dart to have 2 inches, so half on both sides. Then we connect it to where the shoulder dart should have ended. After that, we measure to see what we are having for this side and then compare with the other side. This is where it ends. We draw an S-like shape to connect it to the armhole. Right. At the center front, on the nipple line, we move up by 2 inches. Then we connect to the top to get our sweetheart shape. We connect these two. Nipple to nipple is marked here. 1.5 is marked down here. And then we connect through to the top line. This is 1, 2, and 3. We are doing 2 inches, that is the seam allowance. We take it off. We divide the rest by 2 to get this point. We do the same for the down part. This is the midpoint. Then we connect these two. This is a boning channel, and so it doesn't really matter where you place it. Now we cut it out. In case you've not subscribed to our channel, do well to subscribe. Share with us your comment. Now we're folding this back dart so that we wouldn't have to cut it through. We're taking 2 inches, that is our seam allowance, off. Then we straighten the back, connecting it to the other side as you see. Then we cut it off. When it comes to the down part, we'd also want to, straighten it up a bit. Straighten it up a bit. So we are cutting about 1/4 of an inch. So these are the pieces we're using. Right. This is organdy fabric we're using. We want to fuse the two so that it becomes quite stronger. So we are sandwishing it with this hem tape or adhesive web, as you may call it. Placing the strips. If you have the one that is cut into inches, into yards, you just use that and then it's perfect. We place it on, then we give it a good heat. You make sure that you heat it so that nobody actually sees the hem tape in between the 2 layers. Right, so we fold this up and then we place our pattern papers on them. For number 1, which is the center front, it will be placed on fold. The rest will be placed, just arranged on it and then cut exactly the same. Just as you see. Right. So the seam allowance is added between number 1 and 2, where the white is, you can see that. The rest is the same. Now, we're going to fuse hem tape, in between the organdy and the lace. You can also see a line drawn there. That is number 2 and 3. It's faint, but then it's visible. We place it like this, and then we place our lace on it. We're doing this for all the pieces that we're going to use. Be careful you don't make your hot iron sticky. So we have to shape the excesses, cut them off, trim them actually. Repeat same for all the pieces as I said earlier. Now we're going to cut 1.5 inches width strips. With the help of our rotary cutter and our cutting mat, we're cutting as many as we can get, because we're using these as boning channels for our beautiful gown. Alright, and so we are fusing these hem tapes, in between them. That makes it structured, and when you use it, it looks as though you have inserted a bone even when you have not. Now we're going to join the pieces together. In this, we are not sewing it to the wrong side. Actually, we are sewing it to the good side, so that when you turn it, you wouldn't see any seam allowance in the dress. This is because we are not facing the dress itself. Right, so this is the wrong side. This is actually the good side. This is how I love to stitch it. You stitch the end first before you begin with the beginning, so that after you are done stitching, you won't have two of the fabrics, one surpassing the other. This is one technique that comes in handy. After this, we're going to create notches, and then we top stitch. With the number 2 and 3 that we had in the pattern paper, we have marked that on our organdy, and then it's showing in the lace. That's where we're placing these boning channels. And so we stitch one side first, then we flip it over, then we top stitch. After that, we stitch the other side to have like double flat fill seams. Very beautiful. Repeat same for all the other channels that we have, both the front and the back pieces. This is decorative and functional as well. In case you have any question, do well to come through with it. We are ever ready to share with you any explanation that is available. So this is how we're closing the back. We've cut this other strip, fused it with interface. It's measuring 1.5 inches wide. Then we are placing the bias that we had cut earlier. We are placing it on top. As it gets to the center back, where the lacing is going to be done, this is how we place it. Yes, it's very strategic. Now we do some understitching, and this would make sure that the wrong side does not show up at the good side when the dress is worn. I do also place hem tape in between when you are doing the stitching, so that after you iron it, it will lie flat. So now we turn it to the good side. With the help of this point turner, you can do so easily. Now we stitch it. We stitch the back first, then the top next. Until we're finishing the top, for the right side of the back and also the left side of the back. After that, we move on to finish the top part of the front, and since it's a curve, we need to cut this on crossway or on bias. We're marking 16 on this side and 16 on that side. Whatever you measure for this side should be the same as the other side, and that will give you the diagonal line. The width is still 1.5. We cut that piece, and just as we did for the back, we do same for the front. The only difference is that because of the curve, it's on bias, and we're going to finish this top with it. Right, after that, we're going to cut this to cover the brazier cap. And so this is what you do. You fold it in two, then you curve the top part just a bit. Then we're going to place it on like this, and then we'll go ahead and stitch the top. You make sure you stitch at the very edge of the brazier cap, because the cap is quite small and you wouldn't have to stitch that much. You don't also want to make the top bulky. After that, we do a top stitch of that. After your top stitch, you have to pull this inward whilst you stitch on also the edge of the bra cap. That is where the wire is. You make sure you don't stitch on the wire, but then you stitch on the very edge just after the wire. So this is what we have now. We'll go and flip the other one inside. Then, as you see here, we have to place it on the cap like this. Now we place our hem tapes on it. Then we flip this over. We apply some heat, but then you distribute the excess. As you see me fold it, that is how you finish the excess. You pull them, distributing, the excess whilst you press it. So this is the wrong side. You should make it as neat as possible. Now we'll go ahead and stitch this to secure both of them. Now we trim off the excess. We do so as close as possible to a stitch. You go and run zigzag stitches. You would want to do overlock stitches, but because of the wired cap, it will become quite difficult. So this is it, neatly zigzag stitched. You do same for the other side, and then also we make sure that we run zigzag stitches to connect the two, as you see them connected neatly here. Right, so this is the front as we finished it. That is a cap too, so we're going to place it in. We'll connect the two pieces using hem tacks. That is after you have positioned the caps well inside the garment. We secure them using hem tacks. Right, now it's time to insert our bones into the channels. You measure the distance to which you insert the bone, then you reduce it by half. After that, with a sandpaper, we brush to make it blunt so that it doesn't pierce through our dress. That is on both edges. We repeat same for all the other channels. It's good to also give it a good press, and then we mold it. And so this is the tummy. We need to make it flat. You heat it, and then you make it cool so that it maintains the shape. When it gets to the cup area, to the same, We give it a hot press, then we mold it. When it cools off, the bone is going to assume the shape that you gave it. We insert the bones into the channels for the back as well. In all, we reduce the bones by half. When it comes to the skirt, it's a normal pencil skirt. This is the waist divided by 4 plus our 2-inch seam allowance. From the waist to the hip is 9 inches. The hip divided by 4 plus our 2 inches. That will come down by 10 inches. Whatever we had for the hip, the same without the seam allowance added. That will come down by 2 inches to get our length and 2 inches for the hem. This is the front. We place the front on the back pattern. This is where the waist ends. There is quarter zipper allowance, and that we've added 1-inch dart allowance to that of the back. And so we mark the zipper allowance. From there we mark 3.5, then 1 inch. This is our dart line. We come down by 5 inches. We do the same. We take off our quarter zipper allowance, then we mark our 3.5 here. Then we go and then mark our dart. We create notches so that it becomes easy to identify. Now we are going to sandwich the interface in between our Paradise fabric and that of our lace. And this is just as we did for the top bodice. We're doing same. I would just admonish you to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. There are a lot of educative content coming your way. We also have so much content on this page that I would urge you to surf through our channel and then take advantage of. So after we're done with this, we mark 12 inches, 8 inches other side to give us our slant. And that is where we're going to place our fabric for the drape. We'll stitch this part. So after stitching, this is how to fix our drapes. Alright, so we pleat it like this. That is to the desired width. This is just about 2 inches. We go and stitch on the crease. After stitching, we pleat the next step. And so this is also about 2 inches. When you do this and then you press, it forms a crease behind it. And so when we open it up like this, we'll go ahead and stitch right along that crease that the person created for us. And this may look quite tedious, but then it gives you the best of results, where you do it one after the other. And so we just repeat the process till we exhaust the fabric, and also we exhaust the skirt, that is the upper part of our skirt. And so in case you pleat and then you exhaust the fabric for the draping, as you see here, all is not lost. We'll still go ahead and do our stitching till we get to that very part. So this one, for instance, we had to place another fabric on it and then we'll go ahead and stitch. After stitching that one, we're just cutting off the excess. We just continue as we were doing at first, nothing changes. Very easy and neat. Press as you sew. That is one golden rule in our sewing business. And so after we're done with all our drapes, it's time to secure the edges. So I'm doing so with these pins on both the left and the right sides. Then we'll go ahead and then we'll stitch all along those very portions. After that, we'll cut off the excess. Alright, so this is also for the drape. It's measuring 27 inches by 18. I would go and then finish the edges. These are hammer foot. It comes in different sizes. This is 5/16, but what I want to use is the 3/8, and that is going to give us a 3/8 hem. And so we fix that, then we just place our fabric there and continue stitching. It does the hemming for you, and that's quite good. In case you want to have one of these, you may just comment below and then we arrange to get you one. Any foot at all you need, we can arrange to get you one. Right, and so after this, we also finish the hem. I would always prefer to stitch the end first before we start from the beginning, so that we do not have any excess at the end of our stitching. None of the fabrics will surpass the other after we are, at the end of our stitch. And so with this, we are placing the front and the back. I've already fixed my zipper. These are easy stuff to do. That's how come I didn't add it to the video. We're taking our 2-inch seam allowance as we had added during the pattern creating process. And so our 2 inches taken off from both the left and the right sides. Then this is the top. We are also going to do the same, taking off our 2-inch seam allowance that we had added. This is something new that I'm trying and I kind of love it, where we fix that of the top, we'll go and finish the top, we finish the skirt, then we'll come and place the two together and stitch. So this is the drape that we have. We're supposed to pleat it and then place on the top bodice. So we position it where it's supposed to be and then we pin it down. We'll go and stitch this. Then we place the skirt, matching the side seam of the skirt and the side seam of the top on the right side, and doing same as we move to the left side. And so we're going to stitch this all the way through. Very easy, and it's effective. Just try this out and see. Voila, this is the outcome. Very neat, very detailed, very easy to do as well. That is the most important thing. It is very easy to do and easy to make gown that you can use for your graduations and other programs. Thank you so much for watching.